Hello, my name is Hayley Brown and today I'm going to be showing you how to transform a small space in your garden into a wildlife garden like this. And no matter what size your space, you can take little snippets of what we've done here today to encourage wildlife into your garden. This wildlife area has been quite neglected over the years and it's got completely covered in weeds that aren't actually beneficial to wildlife. Now there is one weed that is brilliant for wildlife and that's stinging nettles. And around the other side of my plant, I've got a boundary line that's about 1 metre wide that's full of stinging nettles. So I'm going to leave that be, but transform this area into something that's really beneficial for the bees, the toads, the hedgehogs and everything in between. When I was weeding this area, I noticed that these boards that I put in to retain the soil had started rotting. So while we're doing this, I'm going to replace these. So first, I've taken up all the soil next to the board, so that's going to stop it all falling down into the pathway. And then we're just going to take these up and replace them. All I'm going to do is grab some timber and cut that to size, put in a corner post and fix that in place. I've lined the pathway with a weed suppressant membrane and then topped it off with some purple slate chippings. This wildlife pond is a couple of years old now and I've dug it to a depth of just over 1 metre, which is perfect for frogs and toads to spawn in. First of all, I'm going to grab my net and I'm going to remove the top layer of the pond, and that's because it's covered in a thick layer of duckweed, which is an invasive plant. All I'm going to do is I'm going to scoop it all up and then I'm going to put it by the side of the pond, and that means that if any creepy crawlers are stuck, they can always get back into the water. We've had a drought this summer, which means that a lot of the water in the pond has already evaporated away. Now this isn't usually a problem, but because the water has got so low, it's meant that the frogs and toads are going to struggle to get out of the pond and feed. We want to do this with rainwater. Any water that's from a tap will be too chlorinated and will damage the ecosystem in the pond. I've already got an iris and a lily in the pond, however we want to add in some oxygenating plants. So these are just going to sit on the surface and help oxygenate that water for the wildlife below. I'm giving the pond a makeover by installing a solar water feature, and this is going to help aerate the water, and it's also going to be a lovely place for me to spend some time. First of all, I'm going to make 3 wooden frames, and they're going to be slightly smaller than the 3 different size pots that we have, so then the rim catches on the frame. I've got a chunky piece of wood as the post, and then I've just used the hammer to knock it into the ground as close to the pond as possible, so then the water is going to trickle back into the pond. I started with the largest bracket at the bottom and then worked my way up to make sure that all the pots aligned so they overflowed into each other. I used a length of copper that's around 20 centimetres that's buried into the ground, and that's going to be the anchor for the rest of the water fountain. I've then added a T-section which is going to allow the water pipe to go through, and that's going to be connected to the solar powered water pump. I'm now going to feed the water pipe up through a long piece of copper piping, and this is going to come out taller than our smallest pot. I've then used a push fit copper elbow with a short piece of copper, and that's going to mean that the water is going to trickle out onto the first pot and then descend down to the second and third. And now all that's left to do is connect the water pipe to the solar powered pump. And that is the water feature finished. I've given it a quick lick of paint because I did use a few different types of wood and I just wanted it to blend in seamlessly to the background. I've added in a few paving slabs at the back, which is going to give me access to the hedge line, and that's going to prevent me from having to stand on the soil. And next up, the exciting part, which is planting out all of these beautiful plants. So I've spaced these quite evenly and quite a distance away from each other, and that's going to ensure that when they grow, they're not going to overcrowd each other. Planting is super simple. All you need to do is dig a hole that's the same depth as the pot, add in some slow release fertiliser to the bottom of the hole and then backfill the soil. Adding plants is a really quick and easy way of elevating a space. The space I'm working with is quite shaded, so I'm going to be adding in some ferns and grasses, and they're going to be perfect for adding some ground cover to protect all the wildlife when they move around. Hellebores can also tolerate shady areas, and these are going to be perfect as they flower early in the spring, giving some pollen to the pollinators when they first emerge from winter. Later in the year, the crocosmias flower, and these are perfect for bees and butterflies. While most of these plants are beneficial for the wildlife, it's important to create a space that you're happy with as well, which is why I've added in this beautiful acer, which is the perfect addition for adding some height to your space. I'm going to be sowing some wildflower seeds, and these are going to be perfect for pollinators. All you need to do is grab your rake and loosen the top surface of the soil. Then spread your seeds finely and rake over again and water well. And that is the rest of the wildlife area planted up. And now I'm going to be adding in this toad shelter. I'm just going to be using a terracotta pot, which I'm going to bury halfway into the ground. It's going to be up to this level, and then I'm going to fill the rest of it with some broken tiles, and that means that the frogs and toads can seek shelter in there. To make these bug hotels, all you need to do is make a simple frame, and for this I've used some pallet wood. However, you can use anything that you've got lying around. I'm stapling one side with chicken wire, and that's just going to help build a retaining wall for all the materials that are going to go inside. I've foraged lots of materials for my bug hotels, and one being pine cones, as they've got lots of nooks and crannies which are perfect for things like ladybirds and earwigs to hibernate in over winter. I've also added in some hollow bamboo canes, and this mimics where solitary bees would naturally lay their eggs. If you can't get a hold of hollow bamboo canes, you can always grab a large piece of wood and then get some different sized drill bits and drill some holes in, and that's where the solitary bees can lay their eggs. I've completely transformed this space, so now we've got some beautiful plants in here, we've got the solar water feature, the hedge has been cut back, all the weeds have been taken up, and not only that, but we've got some areas for the wildlife. We've got the frog shelter in the corner there, and then at the back we've got the bee hotels, which are perfect not only for bees, but for a multitude of insects like ladybirds who want to hibernate in the winter. I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you're looking for more gardening how-tos, please do check out the rest of our channel. Thanks for watching, everyone.